Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So last episode, if you did not catch it, we had started up the season simulation. And our team is interesting so far. We're 15-6, which is pretty good, but there is some underlying numbers that are really not that great. So I don't know if we're going to be making any changes to start this episode, but you can see we are first in goals for, averaging 4.38 goals for per game, which is absolutely fantastic. However, our goals against is 21st in the NHL. We aren't very good on the power play. Like, power play is okay, I guess, 13th in the league, but penalty kill is 25th. So our defensive play isn't really there. And that's definitely something we need to probably prioritize addressing, because obviously if that becomes a problem and our offense, for instance, runs out in the playoffs, then we're going to get into trouble. So we might look to make some defensive adjustments, not necessarily on the defensive core, because I think the defensive core I'd like to keep intact. But on the offensive side of things, we probably want to address the bottom six maybe a little bit. Make it a bit more defensively oriented, because currently on the fourth line, we do have two snipers in Ovechkin, who we brought in from Nashville in the Bjorkstrand deal, and we also have Nelson Dempsey in the youngsters. So we probably want to find a way to get some of these guys maybe more ice time too. Like, it would be nice if I could somehow get Dempsey onto a third line role on next to Kazanov and also Ashton. But I don't really feel like I want to move out from Mishenko this early into his career as well. So there might not be a chance really to get Dempsey more ice time unless I am to move him up. But since I probably won't be doing that, we probably will have to look to flip Ovechkin, who we literally just acquired, which isn't necessarily a great thing. He is a decent offensive player, but he's only got 1 goal in 21 games and 9 points. Like, his point production hasn't been terrible for a fourth line guy, but obviously we're looking for somebody probably a little bit more defensively minded for that fourth line spot. So we probably will end up trying to flip him already in this episode, which might not be a great utilization of him, because obviously he could probably still become a really good player at some point, but he's 25 years old, so maybe not. But we definitely need a more defensive fourth line to maybe help out with the goals against type of thing. And then from a defensive standpoint, we might honestly actually have to make a defensive change, because our defensive core, like, the top 6 pairing's been pretty damn good defensively. Most of the defensive core actually has been good defensively. But I am a little bit worried about getting ice time for guys like Nathaniel Carlton, who should be probably in the top 4. So we'll see if we end up keeping him for the entire year, or if we end up flipping him away just because the ice time is hard to balance on this roster. Maybe at some point he could replace Tatar if I'd want to get rid of Tatar. But right now, obviously, Tatar is going to be here at least till the end of the season. And then our goaltending hasn't been really that good so far. Like, I don't know what's with Solovyov. Maybe it's just our goaltending that's been an issue, not our defensive play in front of our goalies, because you could see Solovyov is rocking an .891 save percentage. So he's having a tough time keeping the puck out of the net. So if we could find a way to get him simulating better, that would be good. But at the same time, maybe we don't want him to have a good regular season, because maybe he'll have a really good playoffs ahead. But this is Solovyov's last year of his contract as well before he might head to free agency, because we do have Komatov, who is pretty much getting close to being a starting goalie. And in the AHL, we do also have Esteban Nicholas, who's getting pretty damn close. So there will be probably some more moving pieces in the offseason and such like that. But I think what our main thing that we need to address is kind of making this fourth line a bit more defensive, and keeping still Dempsey down there, but probably getting rid of Ovechkin, just because 2 snipers on the fourth line might not be the best of ideas. So it's either that, or maybe I'd look to move somebody like Bigris in a way. Even though Bigris has been good so far, that way Mishenko could go up higher, or Kazanov could go up higher, and then we can move Ovechkin or Dempsey to a third line role. That might be a play. But Bigris, how many years does he have left again? 1 more year after this year. He's not been terrible so far offensively. 13 points in 1 games. He's on pace for a career year. So for now, we'll probably hold on to him. But if it comes to the trade deadline and we need to make an adjustment, we might do something like that. Or we still just look to trade Ovechkin and find a 2-way forward for that center spot. But getting guys like Dempsey more ice time, I think we need to move somebody on the forward group away, which honestly can't be a lot of the guys that have clauses. It could be Sealfido heading to free agency next offseason, something like that, but we definitely have to make some tough decisions probably again relatively soon. But with that said, let's get your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll probably look into at least making that defensive change on that fourth line, and then probably simulating more before we make more trades. If we need to make more trades, that is. So the first comment is from Michael Dose, who says, not a fan of the Bjorkstrand deal, as those 3 you received really do nothing to excite me. You should have looked to see what Pittsburgh had on roster first before making a deal, as they may have had better players. Now, I do understand for taking a look at Pittsburgh and seeing if they had better players out there. The one thing for me with doing a deal with the Pittsburgh Penguins is they're in our division, so I kind of feel a little bit skeptical about making trades within our division, because then Bjorkstrand could come back to bite us more so. Sending him to a Western Conference team like the Nashville Predators, at least he won't get the playoffs unless we play them in the Cup Finals. So that's the main reason why I sent him to Nashville. But if we did go to the contracts on the Pittsburgh Penguins, what did they have out of curiosity? Did they have anything that would have been better as a return? Maybe. Let's see. Forwards. I don't know if any of these guys would have got dealt. Like, former player Eriksson's there. If you guys remember Eriksson from a couple of years back. Maybe moving out Eriksson from back in those days wasn't a great idea. I mean, he has been actually pretty good as a Penguin, but maybe we should have held on to him a little bit longer. But yeah, he's there anyways in Pittsburgh. Like, there's some okay pieces. Also, Leg is there in Pittsburgh, too. I forgot about Leg. So, a couple of former players are actually on the Penguins, which would have been funny to send Bjorkstrand there, too. I didn't realize everybody likes to play in Pittsburgh after they leave our team. But apparently that's the case. So, I guess maybe not. Defensively, they have Dadonov, who's an 88 overall. We don't really need defenders, though, so that wasn't that bad. Goalies are okay. Wait, who was Teifel? Oh, he was one of ours, too. I know I recognize the name. I don't remember ever even playing this guy in our organization. What potential did this guy have? Or did I trade him to Pittsburgh? Because he's been in Pittsburgh his entire career. I might have never signed this guy to his ELC. Holy crap, wow. I don't even remember drafting him, but I remembered the last name, and I'm like, wait a sec, was that from a different franchise mode or this one? So, Robin Teifel apparently has panned out. He was drafted almost a decade ago. I honestly don't really remember him too much except for the last name, but yeah, he's been in Pittsburgh a long time. So, and he's only made the playoffs one time in his career, so I guess Pittsburgh's not a very good team in this universe, but that's kind of funny seeing some former players there that I haven't seen in a while. And the last NFL comment is from Sound Taco, who says, do you want to find an assistant and goalie coach for the AHL? Edit, you also need to get a two-way forward on that fourth line, because I think right now you're running a grinder and 2 snipers, so they're all pretty bad defensively. So in terms of the AHL assistant coaches and goalie coaches, I don't think it's necessary really, but we could do it. It's just right now I don't really care as much about our prospect pool as I used to. But maybe we could find them. I don't really know if there's any good coaches still out there at the moment. Maybe we wait till the off season to deal with that. Let's just double check and see if there's anybody that are good out there. Hey, Bo Horvat's still actually out there. It's just interesting. We fired him last off season, and he's back there again. AHL assistant. Is there anybody actually good in this spot? Actually, let's just go to AHL coaches in general. That'll make it a bit easier. Is there anybody that actually fits our AHL team as a coach? Well, 60. I mean, we could just hire this guy as an assistant coach if we really want to. I kind of always like to have one coaching spot available just in case. That way I could reorganize the coaches. So you know what? Let's just bring this guy in as an AHL assistant coach just to maybe help out with Bridgeport a little bit more. We won't sign a goalie coach just because, like, in case I need to reorganize this staff a little bit, but there's the coaches dealt with in the AHL. Aside from that, like you were saying, finding a two-way forward for that fourth line because there's 2 snipers and a grinder, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't really know who's out there for a two-way forward that we could find to bring in, but we are going to go to the player search function and see if we could find somebody to replace Ovechkin. I know Ovechkin was literally just brought in, so some of you guys might say, hey, why did you bring him in only just to trade him? Well, I didn't realize he was going to be like a fourth-line guy for us, I don't think. Or maybe I did, but maybe I just overthought it a little bit. But let's look for a fourth line two-way forward. If there's not a fourth line two-way forward, we could always go like a third line checking forward. But at the same time, they might complain a bit. So let's go fourth line two-way forward. And we'll sort by overall and see if there's anybody really good here, especially in the center spot. So somebody like Olsen is already a scratch. Oh, he was with us last season, but now he's in Vegas. He would have been kind of like a perfect one to bring in, because he only played a couple games with us last season. 15 games, 5 points. Yeah, I forgot about that. Maybe it would have been nice to bring back Olsen. There's Schultz in Toronto, 79/25. Signed for 1 year. He is also in the AHL right now? No, he's in the NHL at the moment. He's not bad. He could play wing as well. 35 points last season, 9 points in 19 games this season. So 10 points in 26 playoff games. He's actually kind of an underrated player, to be honest. 86 defensive awareness. Not great face-off stats, which is not great because I would use him as a centerman. But he's got good passing. This guy's kind of cool. Kind of cool, but I don't like that he can't win draws. That's the only thing, because we're kind of wanting to bring him in for the draws. There's also Russell in the AHL in Vancouver that might work. He's a 78 at 24. Hasn't gotten a chance really at the NHL level yet. He's been actually really good in the AHL in terms of production. Like, bringing in somebody like him for the faceoffs would be good. He's actually got a good faceoff stats, good defensive awareness. Yeah, I think Emilio Russell is going to be our target here. As much as I do like that other guy that we just saw in Toronto, the fact that he doesn't have good faceoffs kind of scares me. This guy's in the AHL, so we're going to try and rescue him from the Canucks. So let's see if we could pull off a little deal with the Canucks about it. So we'd give them Ovechkin, of course, because, like I said, Ovechkin's pretty much going to get replaced anyways. The trade values are kind of close. We actually might have to give up a little bit more, which is kind of surprising because Ovechkin has better potential. But also, I guess Vancouver would be taking on a salary for a year and stuff like that. But I don't know if this would work one for one. We might as well try it and see if we have to add stuff to it. But right now, Ovechkin for Russell, this is kind of a weird deal to make, especially because of the potential and all that. But I guess technically Russell's 1 year younger. Ovechkin's 25 already. I guess I could go back and forth like this to the comparison. I didn't realize I could cycle between the two of them on both sides. So you can see, Ovechkin's a little bit more offensively driven. Russell's kind of well-rounded. He has some okay offensive attributes, like his passing and all that, but he's going to be definitely more of a defensive-first player on that bottom six for us. They both were drafted the same year, too. So let's do this deal. So Russell for Ovechkin. If this goes through, then we'll do it. If not, we'll maybe add something to it, because I don't really care too much to add assets or not. Let's see if it works. And it's rejected. So if I added a draft pick to this deal, would that make a little bit more sense for them? If I added a 7th round pick into the deal, would that work? Because I honestly don't need a 7th rounder that much. I know that they're getting a roster player right now, so there is a chance Ovechkin might be in the AHL or in the NHL team, but Russell's going to jump right to our NHL team. So let's just add that 7th rounder and see if that works, and that's accepted. So pretty good little move, I think. Obviously, it's a little bit of a weird one considering we just brought in Ovechkin, but I do like the addition of Russell a little bit. He's only a 77, it says now, but I think he still should be good enough to be a 4th-line center for this team. He's got good defensive stats, like I said, and I think he'll help us out a little bit. It looks like his defensive awareness dropped off after we made that trade, but that's okay. You'll definitely be a better fit probably down there on that 4th line than somebody like Ovechkin, because Ovechkin wasn't going to get much playing time with this organization unless we traded away somebody else. So let's get Russell into that spot. That's good. Also on the power play, Ovechkin was on the power play, but we are going to have to take him off now, or take somebody else in. We're going to put Dempsey actually on the power play now, and that's going to be getting a way to get Dempsey more ice time, is giving him some power play time, which should be actually kind of exciting because he is a sniper, and I would like to get him more ice time, and now he's going to get a little bit more, at least getting some power play time. But that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Obviously, like I said, if we need to get guys more ice time still, we could make more trades. But I think ice time should be okay now, hypothetically, because Dempsey's getting power play time. The rest of these guys should be okay with their ice time, I feel like. If they're not, obviously, we could make more adjustments. But that's going to be hopefully a way to make our bottom six a little bit more better defensively. And Russell finally gets to make his NHL debut, which is good because he's been too good for the AHL, it looks like, the last few years. But not good enough for the NHL. But with us, I think he could just literally do what we need him to do, which is play good defensive hockey and maybe help out a bit with some passing and stuff like that too. But now we have a two-way forward, a grinder, and a sniper. Obviously not still great to have a sniper on that 4th line, so we could still look to promote Dempsey at some point. But I think that's going to come with time, maybe a bit more. Once Kazanov's good enough to take 2nd line left wing, that should help us get Dempsey onto that 3rd line right wing. And then we can move out from Biggers at that point or something like that. So I think that's the only trade we're going to make, at least in this episode. It might be more trades to come depending on how this team does in the rest of the season. But for right now, we're going to probably continue to simulate and see how this team's defensive numbers change. So Let me actually... Do I have a pen nearby? I need to see if I have a pen nearby. Oh yeah, I think I do have one behind me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down basically our defensive stats at this point in time before we start simulating in this episode. And then when we come back to at any point, I'll be able to say, hey, our goals for was this bad, or our goals against was this bad. So I'm not going to write down our offensive stuff because at this point, our offensive stats are okay. But in terms of goals against per game... We were basically, at the moment, we're averaging 3.29 goals against per game, which is 21st. And at the moment as well, on the penalty kill, our penalty kill's been pretty dreadful right now. That's probably what's dragging down our defensive play a bit, is it's 79.1% and 25th. So I'll write that down so that way I have it in case we want to do a little comparison at any point in this episode. I actually should maybe put Russell on the penalty kill too if there's room for him. So let's go and do that as well. Wouldn't mind giving him some penalty kill time. So who's on the penalty kill right now? It's Crane, Kazanov, Makinen, and Ragnarsson. I don't know about having guys like Makinen on the penalty kill, but for right now it should be okay. Let's just keep the penalty kill actually the same for that matter. So we'll go with something like that, and we'll see if our goals against could go from 21st and up, or if our penalty kill can improve from 25th in the NHL. So with that said, let's continue to simulate. I don't know if we're going to simulate all the rest of the season in this episode. Usually I do it in 2 parts, but it depends really how we're simulating, because maybe I'll wait until the episode after this one too. Because maybe I'll simulate up to the trade deadline in this episode or something like that. But let's go 1 month and see what we're doing in the month of December. See if those defensive numbers improve at all after that trade. As we do get that AHL assistant coach, that's good. We lost in shootout to Nashville. We lost in a shootout to Chicago as Ahmed Huxley is on waivers. And he's a center sniper, which is not something I need. That's almost exactly kind of what we were looking for, though, for the 4th line, but not a sniper, which is kind of funny. Because I feel like at some point, the guy that we just traded for would have been on waivers, but oh well. Okay, so to start off this episode, we lost 3 straight games. 2 of them were in a shootout, but then we're still hanging around in a lot of these games. We're still giving up maybe a bit too much goals, but I feel like at some point it should correct itself a bit, because we're not that bad of a defensive team on paper. It's just the goaltending numbers really have struggled early on in this year. All right. Couple more games left here in December. Still winning games as Dean Roussel is on waivers. Who are you? 75 overall. Listed as a 4th liner, so he's probably higher than that. Power forward. Don't really need somebody like him. Has he ever played an NHL game? No, he has not. So he's just been a healthy scratch in the NHL, so he's probably losing morale, but we'll decline on that. Detroit is a 4-3 win, and Vegas is a 4-2 loss. So we're now down to 22-10-3. I almost said 22-22 for no reason. We're still first place in our division. We're 7 points up on the Blue Jackets. We're in a pretty good spot right now. Let's go to the exact halfway point of the season. Actually, no, let's check after every month, actually, at the goals against per game and see if it's improved. So did it improve? We are still 21st in goals against. Our goals against per game actually got worse that month because we were allowing 3.29. Now we're allowing 3.37. Our penalty kill has improved, though. So we're getting better on the penalty kill, but not 5-on-5. Our penalty kill went from 79.1 to 82%. So we now actually have a 19th best penalty kill aside from a 25th that we had earlier. So we still need to get better defensively, but at least there's some things that are improving. We're still the best offensive team in the NHL, though, at this point, which is kind of insane. What I wanted to take a look at is how is the new guy fitting in with the team. He should be playing better defensively on that 4th line, unless it's just because Dempsey's on that 4th line. It's hurting our team a bit. Ooh, -5 in 14 games. Not ideal. So he's kind of doing just as bad defensively as Ovechkin was. He's only got the 1 goal in 14 games, so that's not ideal, but he's only taken 8 shots in 14 games, too. Only getting 7 minutes of ice time. Is winning a lot more faceoffs, though, so he's doing some good stuff defensively. Doesn't throw a lot of hits, which is kind of weird. Only blocked 2 shots. Has more takeaways than giveaways, so not the craziest defensive player when you think about it. Like, he only threw 2 hits in 14 games, but he's not got a lot of ice time. so I kind of understand. But damn, yeah, that fourth line's kind of struggling a bit defensively. Dempsey's a -9 now, and then Savage is a -7. I mean, at least they're getting some offensive numbers, but yeah, that fourth line's having a bit of a tough time. Every other line's probably doing well, I would assume. But yeah, let's just continue to simulate for now. At least our penalty kill's improving, but we need to get better on that 5-on-5 play as well defensively. I really like our goals for per game, though. That's awesome to see that we're turning into a good offensive team, even without Bjorkstrand on the roster. So let's go one more month, and then we'll take a look at those defensive numbers again. See if anything improves a bit, or if it gets worse. But I think it's good to look every single month just to see if our team's improving in areas that we're addressing or not. But at this rate, we should be at least a playoff team, which is good. But hopefully we're better built for the playoffs than we were a year ago. Because it was kind of tough to move on from guys like Bjorkstrand and Leahy and all that, but it made a lot of sense for our team to do at that point in time. I don't really need a defenseman signed for 3 years, but thank you, Minnesota. Ottawa, can we beat them? Yes, we can. A lot of close games this month, too. Like, we've won a lot of games only by 1 goal, but I'll take it. Second rounder in Barkov for a third rounder in Pecker. I don't think Pecker's really what I need, unless he's a good defensive two-way forward for that fourth line. Because maybe he could push the other guy that we just brought in out of the lineup. No, he's a playmaker. I don't really have any use for a center playmaker. But a lot of one-goal games this month. Like, every single game almost has been a one-goal game as of the last few weeks. So we could have definitely lost a lot more at this stage, but our team likes these close games, apparently. We did lose the game 8-1 to Minnesota, though, and lost 7-2 to Columbus, so I don't feel like our defensive numbers are improving much, which is not great. But we are still first place in our division, but we are not first place in the league. But our division's definitely a little bit on the weaker end of things, I guess. But let's take a look at some defensive numbers and see if they've improved at all or not. So the answer is goals against per game improved a little bit. Only went up 1 spot, but goals against per game in general has gotten worse still since the beginning of this episode because we were allowing 3.29. Now we're allowing 3.33, but we went from 21st to 20th. So there is some improvement, but not by much. Our penalty kill dropped off a cliff that month. What the hell happened there? We went up to 19th from 25th. And in that month, we dropped back to dead last in the league. 75.8% on the penalty kill is absolutely atrocious. So let's go make some defensive adjustments on the PK. There's no question our PK is our weakness right now at this point. Damn, man. That's crazy. We will take Crane off the penalty kill. And I am going to give Russell first line penalty kill time since he is a two-way forward after all. Makinen being on the penalty kill, I don't really like having these crazy good offensive players as penalty killers. I'm going to go with Ashton as a penalty killer on that one. And then Giordano maybe could stay. Who's the best defensive center out of those three? Makinen's got 96 defensive awareness. He's actually pretty good defensively. We'll give it to Makinen then. So, a little bit of adjustments there. And then from the defensive standpoint, Carlton, Tatar, Schaefer, Houghton. We'll keep the rest of that the same, but our penalty kill's having a really tough time, and I'm not too sure why. Because I feel like in the past it's been strong, but I can't remember. So, 75.8% though. Damn, man. Yeah, that's probably by far the worst in the NHL. But at least we're still a really good offensive team. We're second in the league now. We dropped back a little bit on that, but looks like the power play is staying pretty much where it's been all season. Everything else is pretty stagnant. It's just that penalty kill's been bouncing around. Like, how does it go from 25th to 19th to 32nd? God damn. Well, let's continue simulating, but I'm a little hesitant about continuing to simulate when our penalty kill's been that bad. But almost every game that month was a one-goal game. That's actually kind of insane. Like, this game wasn't, but then you have 3, 6, 7 straight games where they were all decided by a goal. Then we lost 7-2, another game decided by a goal, an 8-1 loss, a 4-3 loss as well, so that's another one-goal game. Was in regulation, though. And then we win 3-2. So every game except for that 7-2 loss, that 8-1 loss, and then these 2 games early on were decided by a goal. So I am kind of scared that our team definitely could be doing a lot worse than they actually are, but at least we've been able to edge out these close games, I guess. Maybe that means that we're going to be better suited for playoff hockey, because usually playoff hockey games are a little bit more close than the regular season, I feel like, but could be me. So 31-14-4. All right, let's continue to simulate and see if this team could find its defensive identity on that penalty kill a little bit this month. If not, we might have to look for a good penalty killer in the next episode, because I don't think I'm going to simulate the rest of the season in this episode at this point, because I'm skeptical about our penalty kill, at least right now. But maybe it'll improve in the month of February. So we did beat Boston 6-2, if you guys didn't just see that. Washington's 3-2 win, another one-goal game. We lose 6-5 to Colorado, so another one-goal game. Anaheim, 3-2 win, another one-goal game. 4-1 win over New Jersey. Washington fires their head coach, Maximus Appleby. What a name. Max Apple. Philadelphia is going to be a 4-1 win as well. Nice. We're playing definitely better defensively this month so far, I feel like. Just good 3-2 loss to Utah. Dallas is a 5-4 loss, of course. So now we're having bad games. 6-3 win. Calgary to wrap up the month. 2-1 loss. 37-18-4. We are still first place in our division by 8 points. So we're still pretty comfortable where we are, but our team is still kind of having some weird numbers in a way. And our penalty kill has improved a little bit. It went from 32nd to 28th. It was 75.8% last month. Now it's up to 79.1%. So there is some defensive adjustment there. Our goals against per game is still kind of high. Our goals for per game is still second in the NHL, and then our power play is not very good. So I don't know if I should be worried that we have bad underlining numbers, except for our goals for, or if I should just not care, and then maybe the playoffs it's way different. Because, yeah, Solovyov's having still a rough year, an .891 save percentage, so he's on a massive decline. Now, this is the last year of his contract at least, so he might not come back to the organization after the season, but, weird. Let's keep it the same though. We're gonna go right to a day before the deadline, and then we'll take a look at some stats and see if there's anything we drastically need to do before we move to the playoffs in a few episodes. So let's go through Anaheim and Edmonton and go to this day beforehand, which is against Vegas, and we'll see if we need to make some adjustments. We do beat Anaheim 4-1 and Edmonton 6-3. We are going to be probably a playoff team at this rate, 39-18-4, but the defensive stuff and the power play might need to improve a lot. So now we are 26th on the penalty kill, so we are still improving on the penalty kill, at least since we were down to 75%. We're now 80.5, so that's going up. Power play and penalty kill, or not power play and penalty kill. Power play is kind of mid still. Goals against per game, still pretty mid, but goals for per game, still really good. So that's kind of strange. Let's take a look at some stats and see if there's anything we need to address going forward. But looks like at least we're having a good offensive season. So it looks like the depth scoring is making our plus minuses look a lot better than they probably should be. But Makinen's almost point per game, 60 points, 61 games. Giordano's on 55 points in 61 games. Ashton's on 38 points. So I know, Michael, you were saying about nobody that we brought in from Nashville was really that intriguing to you. I feel like Cole Ashton's actually pretty solid. I feel like he's pretty solid. 38 points for a third-line guy. He's a +7. He's got power play points. He picked up a shorthanded point since we put him on the shorthanded unit. Good face-off numbers. Takeaways and giveaways are relatively close. I feel like Cole Ashton's actually not a bad piece for that third-line spot. He's definitely, I would assume, I say he's better than Leahy almost at this point, because Leahy would have been picking up maybe around the same offensive numbers, but not doing as good defensively, hypothetically. So I kind of like Cole Ashton's play so far. And then Russell is improving defensively. Okay, so Russell is now suiting in well for that fourth-line role. He still only averaging around a shot a game, but he was -5 at one point. Now he's down to a -2. He's not going to give us huge offensive numbers, but he's looking pretty solid. What else we got here? Good face-off numbers again. The only face-off man that's not winning is Gio. Only 16 hits, so he still doesn't throw a lot of hits or blocks a lot of shots, but he has more takeaways than giveaways. So I think Russell's still doing a good job. We could still probably upgrade him, but I might honestly just hold him there because he's an okay defensive guy. Left wing side of things, we have Crane on 62 points and a plus 30. Crane's been good again this year, over point per game. Cialfito's still over point per game too, and he needs a contract this offseason. I don't really know if we're going to be able to afford him or not. He could ask for a shit ton of money. And speaking of guys that are making a lot of money and doing well, 59 points from Ragnarsson this year. He's having a quite a breakout year, which is awesome to see. And his ice time's okay. That 9.975 is actually a really good deal for him, especially with no clause involved. So a lot of our top guys are doing good. Bigger's on 40 points, 21 goals. Definitely liking the depth scoring on this team. Mishenko's on 33 points. That's pretty good. He's listed as a second line forward. So we might have to make a decision between him and Biggers down the road. Not necessarily now, but in the offseason. Because Biggers is going to be going into his last year of his contract. Mishenko is still coming off of his ELC, I think. Yeah, he is. So, hypothetically, Biggers could get knocked out. And Mishenko could go up more. Kazanov's on 27 points. So, Kazanov's still kind of underperforming a little bit. But he is more of a defensive guy. He is doing better, maybe actually not as good as last season. Last year he was on pace for maybe more points. I can't really tell. But, oh well. Savage is actually doing good offensively. 14 points for a grinder, 9 goals, -5. I'll take it. And then from a right wing perspective, Dempsey in his rookie season, 15 points, -10. So a couple of the fourth liners are still struggling defensively, that being Savage and Dempsey. Like I said, I would like to get Dempsey higher, but the only thing we have to do to get him higher into our lineup is we'd have to move out Biggers, and then we'd have to move Mishenko to the top 6. Mishenko can't play top 6 now, but is it time to move Biggers already when he's doing this well? Tough to say. He's one of our better goal scorers, too. From a defensive standpoint, Houghton is on 54 points, +18. He's still fantastic. Hasn't dropped off at all either, which is great. Tatar on 35 points, +13. He's a pending free agent. Is he going to come back next year? I hope so, but not too sure. Schaefer, 27 points, has been good. Holmstrom has got 23. He's been solid. Carlton, 19. And Fisher, 15. Say what you want about our team being bad defensively. It still could come down to the goaltending. It really could, because the plus-minus on a lot of these guys is actually pretty fantastic. Because right now we have basically 2 guys that are over point per game, a bunch of guys that are close to point per game. And if we look at our goals, we already have 3 20 goal scorers. We're probably going to have at least, I'd say, maybe 6 to 7 20 goal scorers this year. Maybe even more than that. So, we're scoring goals with every line, which is nice. And then defensively, even Houghton's on 17 goals as a defenseman. Holmstrom's on 13. Tatar's on 10. Everybody's doing enough offensively, but the goaltending numbers here have been both pretty dreadful. So I don't really know if I would still put it fully on our defensive play, because Solovyov, maybe because he's 34 years old, he's just having a drop-off now. Because his last 3 years, he has been, I guess, kind of getting worse. 916 down to a 906 to an 892. And like I said, he's a pending UFA. Now, the good thing is he does bring usually good playoff numbers. So I'm kind of expecting some good playoffs again from him. But yeah, he's been abysmal this season, and Komatov hasn't been very good either in his rookie year. Now, he probably will be better once he's a starter, but our goalies have been kind of lackluster. So there is that. Let's take a look at some stats around the league for fun, too, while we're at this point. But in terms of point leaders right now, it's Davidson in Vegas, and then you also have Enroth, who is in Seattle. And also Jacobson, who is in Columbus, all on 80-plus points. And most goals so far is Guerin in New York. What a surprise. 49 goals for him already. And then 2 former right wingers who weren't scoring a lot for us. Michelli's up there, and Jaskalainen's up there. They used to be teammates, too, at one point, which is kind of funny. So, damn. Best defenseman so far right now is Houghton. There's a good chance, or maybe not a good chance. There's a chance that Houghton could be a Norris winner. Now, Brophy kind of scares me, though, a bit from the Kings, because he's a +50 already at this point in the season. And then his defense partner's got to be Neal, right? Yeah, Luke Neal as well. So those 2 guys, there's a chance that they could give the Norris to one of these guys just because their plus-minuses are outrageous. But Houghton's been the best offensive point producer from a defenseman right now. And let me take a look at actually some goalie numbers here for a second. Is all goalies bad or what? Like, if we go a minimum of 40 games and sort by save percentage, where is Solovyov amongst these goaltenders? So this is 9 goalies so far. 10, 11, 12, 13. It's kind of low. Yeah, he's probably one of the worst starting goalies in the league right now. He's the worst starting goalie in the league. There's no question about that, because based on 40-plus games, he's the lowest on the list. I do not really know why either. Like I said, it could be the age factor, but he's only got the one shutout this season, too. Last year, I think he had a lot more than that. The year before, he had a lot more than that, too. Goals against per game by a starter is where? Kind of mid-table? Yeah, he's mid-table in goals against, but he's dead last in save percentage amongst goalies that have played 40 or more games. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what to say about that. And in points for him, a rookie is Eriksson in Carolina. All right. I don't feel like I need to really make any adjustments maybe the rest of the season. We could still address our penalty kill, but I don't feel like it's on our defense almost at this point. I think it's on Solovyov, why we've been giving up so many goals against on the penalty kill and also on 5-on-5 plays. So we could address it, but I'm not too sure if that's something I want to do yet. But I think this is definitely Solovyov's last year here in New York if he's going to continue to play like that. He might be really good in the playoffs, but I don't think he's going to be back next year because of the young rookies like Esteban Nicholas coming up. Final thing we got to take a look at is the trading block, just in case there's a good fourth line two-way forward that's actually listed as a fourth line guy, and then we can maybe use that other guy as a depth center. Let's just take a look and see what there is out there. An 86 overall two-way forward, that's way too good for a fourth line spot, but damn. Just to see if there's anything out there. Rakoff, he's signed for 2 years, don't really want that. Boston's got nothing. Buffalo's got Pecker, who we saw already, but he's a playmaker. O'Donnell's a left wing two-way forward. If I was to move Dempsey up into the top 9 and get rid of somebody on that left wing side, Mishenko or Bigris, hypothetically O'Donnell could be a solid fourth line two-way forward, but I don't really know if I want to part ways with Bigris yet. I might wait till the offseason, but O'Donnell would be a good defensive addition for that fourth line maybe. Aside from that, there's Barry, who's a power forward. Kleiny's a power forward. Backos, who's a two-way. It looks like there is some kind of guys that might fit our mold for a fourth-line center. But we could always just keep it the same, to be honest, too. Like I said, I don't feel like our play as a team has been bad defensively. I think it's been mostly on Solovyov. I don't want to throw him under the bus, really, because he's been a legendary goalie his entire career. Not really a legendary, I should say, but he's been here for a long time. But, yeah, he's kind of dropping the ball a little bit much this season. So, I do definitely think it's going to be his last year here, though. Which is unfortunate, because I kind of wanted him to be with us until he retires. But since we have goalie prospects coming up and he's not playing good in this last year of his contract, I just feel like he's maybe going to get worse. He might honestly go on to win a Vezina the year after we let him go or something. But I just don't feel like he's not doing as good as he could be. So I just wouldn't want to trade him during the season. I'd probably want to wait until the offseason just to let him walk to free agency. Hopefully he doesn't sign with like the Rangers or something though, because that'd be kind of disappointing. But he's probably going to drop an overall too. So, but if you guys see anything on the block that is intriguing to bring in, that could maybe help us out defensively on the fourth line role, let me know. Aside from that, everybody on our team has been decent enough, I feel like. So I think we might as well maintain our roster, so to speak. Prindis, damn, some good goalies there in Toronto. Hayden's on the block again. Yeah, there's some decent options, but I don't really know if it's something we need. I just want to find a way to get at least a Stanley Cup with this roster before the series ends, because if we never win a Stanley Cup in the series, that will definitely be one of my most disappointing series in that sense, so there is that. Let me take a look at one last thing, which let's go back to player stats for a second on our team. I do want to take a look at the plus minuses across the entire team just to see if we could point out some outliers that are maybe trade bait in a way. Like if we go plus minus, Yeah, see, it's the fourth line the most. They're all the only minus guys right now. Russell, like I said, we could use him still as a fourth liner, or we could use him as a depth center and find a new fourth line center. Savage has been okay, I guess, in a way, because at least he's producing a bit. But the plus minus on Dempsey's pretty atrocious. Like I said, it would be nice to get him higher in the lineup. But to do that, we might have to part ways with Bigger Sermashenko. And I don't think it's the time to do that yet. Off season, probably. Right now, not so much. So, let me look at some of these individual stats too, like hits and stuff. Like who's not hitting. Holmstrom doesn't hit a lot. Yeah, Russell really doesn't throw a lot of hits, which is kind of strange. Carlton doesn't. In general, their defensive core is actually kind of on the weaker end of defensive cores. Just kind of weird, because Holmstrom doesn't throw a lot of hits. Carlton and Fisher don't. Schaefer and Houghton don't really throw that much. Tatar throws a good amount, I guess. But in terms of like hits as a team, we don't really maybe hit as much as we probably could. Crane definitely does because he's a power forward, but wow, Holmstrom blocks a lot of shots, 85 block shots. We do block a lot on defense, I guess. Let me look at the takeaways. Ragnarsson's fantastic at takeaways. Let's go. Same with Giordano. All right. If Giordano got better at faceoffs, he could be a Selke favorite for sure. Are we fighting too much? Tatar has 8 fights. Everybody else has 3 and below. Yeah, we might be a little bit of a pushover of a team. Like, we're a little bit soft. But we don't want to make ourselves too physical because then we would take penalties and stuff like that, right? So, let's also briefly take a look at the AHL just to see what prospects are similarly good in Bridgeport. I didn't want to go plus minus. There you go. So, Esch is actually having a pretty good rookie year. He's getting closer to NHL already. All right, Granado and stuff. Oh, Granado's actually really good. Granado could play on our defensive core soon, too. He is an OFD, though, which is what pretty much most of our defenders are like. But, yeah, the AHL team's having a really tough time keeping the puck out of the net. Jesus, the plus-minus. Yeah, the AHL team is pretty much cooked. But Nicholas still somehow has a 914 save percentage and 2.73. So maybe they're just not scoring enough in the AHL. It's nothing to do with the goalies. It's just the offensive numbers. Like when your team leader's leading with 32 points in 52 games, yeah, it's pretty bad. So the AHL needs more offense, but the NHL team needs better goaltending. That's probably it. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we will probably simulate the rest of the season. We might make some more trades if you guys think there's anything we could do. Right now, I think we might honestly just stay pat, even though like rest of our numbers other than our offense has been kind of mid. I feel like it could correct itself in the playoffs. I like a lot of the plus minuses on this roster. I just think it's probably the goaltending that's maybe our main problem, which I feel like it'll be better in the playoffs because Slovyov is usually good in the playoffs. So as long as our goaltending gets better in the playoffs and we continue that offense from this season so far, I think we'll be a good team this postseason, but it's still been kind of a weird season for this roster. So, down below, and I'll see you guys next time.